everyone, to another week's episode of Three Simple Men Making Their Way Through the Galaxy. I'm Tom. With me is Ryan and Mike. And today we are on Star Wars Season 1, Episode 2. I believe the episode is called The Shadow of the Malevolence?
Rising. I wanna touch upon the clones we get introduced to. I caught two of their names. I don't know if someone got the third one, but I got Boost was one of them, and then Wolf.
Wolf, Sinker,
Wolf.
and Boost. Yeah.
Boost. And was Boost the one that was? Which one was Boost? Was he the one inside on the radio, or was he the one that got?
I think Wolf was the one in the cockpit. I think
in
Sinker,
who was still talking on the radio and not fighting.
Yeah.
So
Sinker
was Boost the one that got launched at the droids?
We gotta check that one because it could go either way. But
I was just wondering if maybe the names meant something, because we learned a few episodes ago that sometimes they like to play around with the names of characters. But Wolf, Wolf is somebody who, if my memory serves me, we will be seeing more of, if not much more of, right?
Yeah, I think this is the Wolf we're thinking of. It's weird that we're seeing him in a more of an officer uniform than
at the end we do see him with the helmet with the wolf on the forehead.
Yeah, so it's like the Wolf Battalion, I think. So it's our first introduction to another squad besides Domino and Anakin and Obi-Wan's, because I think Anakin was the 501st and Obi-Wan was the 212th. So yeah, we definitely see.
We do get a little Rex in the background.
We do get Cody.
I did see Rex.
Rex and Cody, yeah. And then just like hearing like the clones' perspectives, like, oh, nobody's gonna come and find us, we're expendable, and you kind of see that attitude that the Jedi have towards the clones, like we saw in last week's episode with Yoda. It's like, well, you're not expendable to me, and then you have Ryan, to your echoing to your quote at the beginning, you have Plo Koon, who's not giving up on them. It's like, yeah, we're gonna work together, we're gonna survive this, and someone's gonna come looking for us. So
I got to read the direct quote. I wrote it down because it's a meme. I'm sure Tom has seen it before, but it's Wolf says, we are meant to be expendable. And Plo says, maybe it's not Wolf now, I'm confused, but one of them says, we are meant to be expendable. And Plo says, not to me, which I don't know if you guys have seen that as a meme, but like, I've definitely seen like different things, and it's like that
it applies to a lot of various things.
Yeah. But it goes directly to, as you just said, Mike, like last week's episode. We talked about how Yoda kind of says something similar, Ooh, excuse me. And then I want to say, was it the episode before that where, a second, can't remember all the Jedi's names, where Jock T says that, that they're not, they're living beings, not objects. So, it's a reoccurring theme that the Jedi see the clones as more than just tools, which is nice, and a absolute parallel or opposite of how the Palpatine and Dooku view not just the droids because they're just tools, but also everybody else, right? Everyone's a pawn to Palpatine. So it's very interesting. And it shows that just juxtaposition of, good and evil and how they view things. So it shows like humanity, right? And, an ethical high ground.
It shows the compassion.
So we do get that quote. And that was the quote I wrote down, Mike, that you stumbled into. So.
And then we see Anakin and Ahsoka coming in, and Ahsoka realizes, oh, hey, wait, that we're in the Alfregado system. And it's like, well, why didn't you say this at the council meeting? And Anakin was like, it's not what you say, it's how you go about it. I think, and that's just his way of teaching Ahsoka that it's okay to bend the rules. And obviously with Anakin, you're always going to bend the rules no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also get some backstory that wasn't shown in the Tales of the Jedi with Ahsoka, that it was Plo Koon who brought Ahsoka into the Jedi Temple. And
I'm going to correct you.
So what?
I'm going to correct you.
Yeah.
It wasn't shown yet, right? We could end up with another season of Tales of the Jedi where we get more of that.
Maybe, but
just saying. Continue.
But yeah, we realized that this is very personal for Ahsoka. It was like Master Plo was the one who brought me in. I'm not giving up on him. He's alive, and Anakin's priority was the same. It's like survivors mean everything to us, and to the extent that we can find someone, we can figure out what's going on. And yet you have the council and Palpatine deliberating, like, oh, Plo Koon's fleet was destroyed, and focusing on redeploying the fleet, and you have Obi-Wan checking in, like with Admiral Yularen, and you have Rex in the background, as Tom pointed out, that, oh, hey, like, what's going on? How's everything going? It's like, oh, we're all set. And it's like, wait, where's Anakin? It's like, and then Yularen had that, oh, Anakin's been redeployed. And then Obi-Wan's like, again, or what Yularen or Obi-Wan was saying, it's like, oh yeah, Anakin redeployed himself, like, again. It's like, oh, great. And then putting the transmissions, like, what's going on? And like, yeah, Obi-Wan's like, okay, you should get back to the fleet. You don't want to miss out on the rendezvous. And then when they're having that meeting, Obi-Wan reports, oh yeah, Anakin deployed himself and is looking for Plo Koon. And Yoda had a quote of like, twice the trouble they've become. And even they understand that Anakin is one not to follow orders. And then, of course, you got Palpatine manipulating him. It's like, oh yeah, let me use my bond with Anakin and be like, give up on this search, turn around, get out of here, and just let it all, keep the cover up going with this weapon. So
I
again,
think he did the right thing, to be honest. Like, I guess we'll just go say this is the hot take. It's pretty much like, I don't think Mace Windu or Obi-Wan actually realized, like, you should go after Plo Koon, because not only is you're running thin on Jedi, but if I remember correctly, he is one of the members on the council. So
yes,
if you give up on him, that's just a big hole in the Jedi Order right there. And
yeah, it's hard
it's gonna
to.
really
Yeah,
mess things up future.
They gave up on him pretty quick too.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like that. It's like, you don't want to even think about it. It's like, no, just
Yeah, I mean that's
Well,
really a bad call, for them to give up on Plo Koon that quickly. I mean, yeah, you have the clones like, oh yeah, I'll be tracking this weapon down. It's like, no, let's Plo Koon and Anakin were on the same page. Like, I'm more focused on saving lives.
yeah, he says, "I value your life more than finding that weapon." I wrote down more quotes.
Yeah, I had that down too.
I was gonna say one more thing. It was pretty much like,
Yeah.
it's just maybe like a small step towards a lot of distrust towards the Jedi Council because of this little incident. It's like, maybe it'll start unraveling slowly and slowly, moving down further.
I mean, so I'm thinking about it, and like, I guess I get the Jedi Council's thought process is like they don't know what's going on. They can't be on the offensive. They need to pull back and be on the defensive. They need to protect what they have right now because they're getting beat. But at the same time, like, if you want to figure things out, you got to go investigate the crime scene, right? And that's what Anakin and Ahsoka basically end up doing. And then they end up figuring everything out. And it's, I said it last episode that we don't get the separatists don't really lose, but we're two. This is a second loss, and I mean, we get it at the end where once Anakin and the clones and Ahsoka and Plo escape, Dooku's not happy. He kind of tells Grievous, I gotta let my master know, and he yells at the droids, and it's like, oh boy, like, they messed up. They had it, and then they lost it. So we are seeing some losses, right? So the war is, waning, I guess. I do want to briefly touch on another question, I guess, for both of you, because I don't recall, but I think, was this the first appearance of a medical droid?
Maybe. I thought the first one, or like the first time they're on the Twilight, I thought it was just a hologram of it.
That's what I was going to say. I think this is
You're right.
First one. It's actually,
You're right. There was the hologram of the droid.
So yeah, I mean, to my point earlier with Anakin making the modifications that he did, I mean, I think he really liked the fact that they had a medical droid on board, and it's like, well, I'm just going to get an actual one that can help them out, and we see it. But before we get to the part with them rescuing
Mhm.
Cocoon, we see like they get the they get to see firsthand what these hunter droids are doing, and they decide that they're going to engage the enemy. But at one point, when Plo Koon throws one of his troopers to flank him, I think this is moment number two where we get first person shooting action going on.
You're right. You're right.
Oh,
Good call.
With I thought you were going to pick that up
I
because
missed it. You're right
'cause-
though. I was too busy trying to focus.
well, you guys are on
One
fire right now.
yeah. The
'cause
the entire half the time I was like, why isn't he using his lightsaber to cut the things that are
yeah, because I
coming
mean,
down? And then
and
he
you would
does
think that
eventually.
it would have been done quicker, but yeah, I mean, they got like one or two droids, and they're trying to protect it, and it's like, oh, I don't know if it was sync or a boost, but it's just like just throw one of them, hold you in place, shoot them, and then I'll knock it off. And of course, that attracts Dooku and Grievous. Like, oh crap, our hunter is destroyed, and we need to figure out what's going on. And fortunately enough, Anakin and Ahsoka arrive on time. They save Plo Koon and his
Well, I
troops.
want to before we hop right into that, I want to point out I think we get a really really awesome moment that touches on later scenes and well, I'd say from the original trilogy where they basically Palpatine pops in, tells Anakin time to give up. Anakin goes, "You're right. It's time. It's time to move on." And then Ahsoka uses the Force. You can see she's sensing, right? She kind of like, and then it shows him, Plo, and them fighting, and Plo kind of looks up too, and it's like you could tell that they have a connection with the Force, and they're sensing each other, which reminds me of some old some stuff from the original trilogy between Obi-Wan and Luke and maybe Leia, like you kind
I
of
was going
get
to say Leia and Luke.
Leia, and yeah, it's
We're all,
it's
It's a
multiple
we all know
multiple
what
high
times
scenes.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
where you have that kind of, and that was very very much kind of specifically in Empire, yes, with Leia and Luke too, but you kind of had that like Force communication or sensing, whatever you want to call it, but it was, and the music played too, the really that like very classic from the original trilogy, the kind of like Force music. So that was a cool little moment that we had that I really enjoyed.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. That definitely, I mean, with this one being suspenseful, you definitely see with a lot of those callbacks to the original trilogy and Spaceballs, as we've been pointing out throughout this entire thing. So now we see him saved, and Plo Koon reports like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. There's an ion cannon that just knocks everything out and leaves no survivors. And then the ship shows up on their scanners. They're like, oh crap, we need to kill the power. And pretty suspenseful there for those few moments when, and they thought they had everything turned off, but lo and behold, the physical medical droid was the only one powered up, and they tracked him. And now, for over a small ship as the Twilight, they're ready to charge up the ion cannon and shoot another blast. Again, no survivors. But
Yep.
fortunately, with Anakin's piloting and getting everything back up as quickly as they did, they escaped. And Ryan, to your point, big failure on the Separatist part. Dooku was very pissed. He had like talk to my master about this, and then we see at the end, with the clones like thanking Anakin, you really need to thank Ahsoka for this. This was all her idea. And then I was like, oh, we got to report to the council. And like Anakin's like, oh, great. And then Ahsoka's like, oh, well, I'll just hang back here. It's like, no, you're coming to this too. And it's like, and if I'm going to get in trouble for this, so are you. So
It was a fun little ending. But yeah, definitely another good episode. Some very dark stuff in it, but very lot to break down. Anything else from either of you guys?
I actually have nothing at this point.
All right. Well, with that, Mike.
a wrap. Thank you, everyone, for joining Three Simple Men, making their way through the galaxy. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and come back next week as we watch some more Clone Wars and Malevolence content. May the Force be with you always.